Welcome to Refresh Your Future, and thanks for joining us to learn more about apprenticeships and career development. This week we've got some fantastic information for you, not only about our education and training services, but you'll get to find out more about current vacancies and hear from some great guests too. We are delighted to be able to talk about careers within the care, hospitality and business sectors and are excited to get started. This morning we are joined by Gemma and Isabel to discuss early years apprenticeships. We hope you enjoy the session. Hi, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Of course. Hi, I'm Izzy. I'm one of the development coaches with Busy Bees. I've been here nearly 6 years, and previous to that I was an assistant manager at a nursery. I've worked in children's centres, I've been a nanny. I've worked in quite a variety of different childcare settings over the years, which has almost helped me in my job role now.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. So I am Gemma, and I am a development coach within this area. I originally started with Busy Bees in 2006. So yeah, for a long time, and then moved over into training in 2015. So yeah, we had lots of experience in the nurseries.
Looked after a lot of apprentices then?
Yes, just a bit.
Oh, bless. So can you tell me a little bit about the apprenticeship that you offer in the early years sector?
So we offer the early years diploma at level 2 and also level 3. So the level 2 is a nice introduction into sort of childcare, understanding child development, sort of understanding your health and safety, your safeguarding. It gives you a nice introduction into the role and what's involved with the children then. And then your level 3 is then progression to sort of really understanding the role and taking on more leadership.
Being that key person.
Yeah.
Having the responsibilities of doing the planning, the observations, the parent partnership, isn't it? It's a big part of it. So that's the big part of the level 3.
Lovely. So what knowledge, skills and behaviours do you need to be a successful apprentice?
You have to be confident. They have to be confident in themselves, don't they? They have to be confident in the knowledge that they know. They need to have a good understanding of the EYFS, how children develop, and that's all part of the course itself. So making sure that they understand what they're learning as they're going through. So and that's good as we can do discussions halfway through and all the way through. So we get to know that they have got that good understanding ready for obviously their endpoint assessment.
So tell me, you just spoke about the endpoint assessment. What is an endpoint assessment?
So the endpoint assessment, everyone gets a little bit worried, I think, don't they, about the endpoint assessment, but they're not there to trip you up. It's a multiple choice test, so the knowledge, which is what you've learnt about all the way through the qualification, and then it is a discussion on your work, a portfolio of your work that you've done. So whether it's the longitudinal study that you've done on a child, or whether it's about the theories that you've learnt about, because we put observations in as well, so they might ask you about the observation or the activity that you planned that the observations linked to, and they just ask you lots of different questions to just gain that knowledge to make sure that they understand.
And is that with you or is that with somebody else?
No, it's with the awarding body. So yeah, it's somebody external, so it's not just us that we know that it's somebody else that they can continue saying that yes, they definitely do know.
Gives them their chance to shout about what they've learned.
Absolutely. Showcasing everything that they've learned. So it's nothing that they're not going to know. They're going to have learned that over the 30 months, 18 months, but it's a nice way of sort of saying, look, I can do this. This is how I've done it, and giving lots of examples as well.
Lovely. So when I'm an apprentice now, I've just signed up, I've done my initial assessment and things like that. So what's my first meeting going to be like regarding meeting my development coach? What's going to happen?
So you have so it's classed as your induction. Once you've done your initial assessments and everything, you've done your skills scan as well.
What's a skills scan?
So that checks what knowledge you've already got linking to the childcare side of it. So what you might need to learn, or what you already understand. So that gives us an idea of where to start really. And then so on the induction you'll go through all the paperwork, they'll understand what's linked in with, we'll talk about the endpoint assessment, so they understand everything, functional skills requirements, whether they need to do that. and just talk them through how the apprenticeship works and how the qualification works, how we gain evidence, or whether it might be written evidence, discussions, observation based. It could be testimonies that they've got from their managers or somebody. So yeah, we just talk through everything that they need to know. Ready?
So what additional training can learners complete while they're on their apprenticeship? Because we talked about, you said about observation, so I presume that's you being going in and observing them.
Mm-hmm.
So what other off-the-job training can they get involved in?
So we have lots of short courses with Busy Bees that nurseries and learners can sign up to, which will help them within their course, along their course. It's safeguarding, health and safety, code of practice, lots of courses they can sign up on. We also, as development coaches, if we feel there's an area that maybe we've observed them do something, we think maybe they need extra support, we can sit with the manager and give them support within the setting as well, so they've got further training that way to make sure that they're confident in what their sort of knowledge and being able to put that into practice.
And if they are based in one room and in one specific age range, so babies, we work with the managers to try and get them to move for a couple of weeks or a couple of months into a different age group, so they've got that knowledge and the background of working and planning activities in all different age groups as well.
So what kind of activities would you expect them to be doing with the children?
So planning sort of activities that's going to support the children's development, creative activities, literacy, maths activities, sort of making sure that they're varied, supporting the children's development, and making sure that sort of they're fun and interactive for the children. So we have something called the Up app, which they can use to sort of go on there and research different activities that they can carry out with the children.
Tell me a little bit more about the Up app.
So the Up app's it's a really useful tool. As development coaches, we can use it as well to go on there to support the learners. But there's all sorts of different activities. There's resources on there, so they can do further reading as well on there if there's a particular topic or subject that they want more information on. But it's all sorted into age groups as well and areas of learning, so that it's really easy to use and follow.
There's things that you can help make the activity a little bit more challenging or make it a little bit less challenging for them, so it links to all their developments, and you can pick different interests, can't they? And that also links in with their off-the-job training as well, because they're researching and learning something new.
Oh, lovely. What about, you talk about the children, what about parents? Because obviously I presume they've got to have that partnership with parents. How do you support the apprentices? Because it could be quite daunting, can't it? Especially if they're a new apprentice, they've got their parents, well at the moment they're not coming in, but they will, I presume, eventually be coming back into the centres. How do you prepare them and get them to understand that relationship as well as their key person approach with the children?
I think in the level 2, if they're very new, if the level 2 tends to be 16, go out to school 17, so their confidence isn't that high at the moment. So once they're coming in, it's getting them to shadow. We'll offer them to shadow with perhaps the room manager or a more confident member of staff, whether they're giving feedback to a parent when they can at the moment. And then just getting them to, whether it's a parents' evening, making sure that they're not excluded from it, they can still sit there and they can be watching. Because whether you think, I always think knowledge, it helps you be confident. If you've got that knowledge, you are going to be confident in your abilities to do something. So if they're just included in everything, and that's the main part of the apprentice, not just to sit in the corner and be a body there, they need to get involved and actually understand the eye connect, whether they're putting meals on or whether they're just adding nappies on or something like that. It's just making sure that they're there, and the parents will get to know them as they're going along, and then towards the end of the level 2 they will gradually start talking to the parents and being that bit more confident then.
Do they have to have a gap before they go into the level 3, or can they carry on and move, so there's no, because I know what it's like, you start training, don't you, have a little gap and it's like, oh, do I want to go back to it, but can they just progress straight on?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And especially if they've already, 9 times out of 10, as they move towards the end of the level 2, they're going into that position and they're starting to get a couple of key children, they're starting to get to more confident with it, so it's only natural to progress onto that level 3 and then to build their key group up and get that bit more confident and involved.
Yeah.
So again, if I'm an apprentice, so I want to understand what I've got to do next, how do I know what journey I'm on? So we've had the induction, which is great. You've been very clear with me about what I need to do, that kind of thing. But how do I know what I've got to do? Is there plans? Do you put plans in place? Are they shared with people? How does that work?
So we have a system called Smart Assessor. So everything is all done electronically. There's no sort of paperwork or folders they need to carry. It's all on the computer. Their manager can access it as well. They've got access to it. And there are monthly plans set on there with detailed actions, clear detailed actions of what it is they need to be working towards, whether it's a discussion they're preparing for or an observation that we want to see. It'll all be detailed on there exactly what they need to be preparing for and planning for. We make contact with them monthly, but obviously in between we are still there.
Yeah.
You know, we always say we're still there if you don't understand something or you want us to go through something. Or sometimes it might be learners might need that bit extra support, so we might do 2 weekly action plans, or we might do more contact, regular contact, just to make sure they're getting on okay. But yeah, it's all on Smart Assessor. Their plans can be seen. Obviously we can see them, their managers can see them. So that we can all together work together to make sure that they know what they need to
print it out
towards,
as well from there as well.
Um,
So, and sometimes if they're struggling with Smart Assessor at the start, sometimes I'll send their actions through on an email as well. So that while they're getting to grips with Smart Assessor, if they've never used it before, it can be a little bit daunting. Although we go through everything with them, we'll put it on an email, or there's a separate action plan that we can send over. So if they need that additional support, there's lots of ways they know what they need to do.
Yeah.
Lovely. So why do you think apprenticeships are important in the early years sector?
I think it's the hands-on experience, isn't it? It's not just sitting. You can have all the theory, and if you go to college is right for some people, but other people you need that actual experience. You're learning a lot more. You're getting to build those relationships with the children on a daily basis, with the parents, with the staff, whereas if you just go into college and coming in for a placement, you haven't got those bonds. So I think the apprenticeship's a really good tool, because you are building those stepping stones to get you into that actual position in the future.
I think it is, as you say, it's so hands-on that every day you're having that hands-on experience. You're learning something every day. And you can move around the rooms and gain that experience and have the support of the staff there as well. They know what you're working towards, and you've got that someone you can talk to as well to help you.
So say I was an apprentice again, I just walked in, a lovely apprentice getting all these opportunities. What would my typical day look like, would you say, in an early years sector, knowing that both of you have got such a lot of experience of working in the sector? What would a normal day, what would make you get up and want to get into that centre and be with those children?
It's something different every day, isn't it? No 2 days are the same, although the routine is very similar every day. Something's always different happening, whether it's the different activities that you can provide, it's building those relationships with the staff and bouncing ideas off each other, and being able to plan the environment and make new areas, especially with the older children, because they give you something back, don't they? They'll tell you what their interests are, and they'll tell you what they'd like to do next. So typical days, a level 2 apprentice might not necessarily go straight in and help with nappies or toiletry or meals or anything like that, because obviously they need to do the food hygiene as well. But it's making sure that they're getting involved. Actually, they might not do the planning yet, but you can still set up activities, you can still have access to the Up app, you can still talk to, be confident, talk to the other members of staff in there and say, I've got this idea for an activity, can I do this? And they'll be more than willing to let you do that. You haven't just got to sit back and watch.
So you need to be able to get in there.
Yeah.
The person that doesn't sit back, get in there and get in the mix of it all.
Yeah.
So I've completed my apprenticeship now. I've completed my level 3s. We've had the celebrations, which is great. Where could that take me next? What kinds of jobs could I get in early years from that level 3 apprenticeship?
Lots, isn't there? Yeah. I've had a lot of, and probably you have, that have moved into senior room manager positions, or seniors gone into assistant managers, and then you can move on to your team leading qualifications as well. So yeah, there's lots and lots of different opportunities. So yeah,
I think as well within the settings you can take sort of specialist roles like Senko, child behaviour, childcare rep as well within the sentence as well. Once you've gained some experience.
Obviously there's great opportunities there.
Yeah.
So if you could sum up early years in 3 words, what would you say? If you were shouting out to everybody out there to say come and work in early years, what 3 words would you use?
I'd say it's fun, it's challenging, but very rewarding as well.
Yeah. Gemma?
I was going to use challenging, but exciting. There's something new every day, and interesting.
Have you got any questions?
So we've got one question, and it was just to ask whether there's an age limit for apprenticeships.
We'll all shake our heads.
No.
No, there is no age limit.
No, anybody can do an apprenticeship.
It doesn't matter what age. Everybody's welcome. They're available to everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. That's been really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.